Ahoy there trader, and welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at trading index futures, and specifically a 2-year case study, which is an examination of a profitable trading strategy by the numbers, and how to make trading index futures work for you, me, and everyone else. Now, the problems we were trying to address with this, firstly the strategy and to illustrate with the case study, is lack of time. Work, family, life in general stops you from placing and missing the next trade, which leads to a lack of consistency, the inability to place the next trade or the next several trades. And, part of that might be a lack of understanding. Trying to fit someone else's discretionary trading style into your lifestyle is difficult. So we wanted to make this strategy as mechanical and production line as possible. And that discretionary element that some traders have basically means that when you try and replicate it, you have the inability to do that. So that discretionary trading decision, it doesn't make the replication of a process, the process, easy. And ultimately you end up with a lack of strategy, and you still want to trade, so you shoot from the hip and you make it up as you go along, and you never see success. So there are the problems that I've pretty much seen over the last 22 plus years since I first started out and started coaching people. So the solutions that we wanted to get is ultimately a production line trading process. Step 1, do this. Step 2, do this. Step 3, do this. Put the trade on. I want that for myself. I want that for my students. It means that it can be replicated. So you know what you're trading, when you're trading, and why you're trading every single time. There's no ifs, buts, or maybes. Now, at the same time, we wanted a flexible strategy, one that you can use around your lifestyle and your daily commitments. I want that for myself first and foremost. I don't want to be glued to the desk anymore. I spent 12 years as a day trader. I do not want to be looking at chart after chart for hours and hours on end. I just want to be able to look at the charts and say, oh, there's the setup, pop the trade on. So we want minimal screen time as a result of this. A strategy that works around your life and work, or while you're mobile and on the move. You can do it anywhere, anytime that makes sense to you. A simple mechanical process with little to zero thinking. The trade sets up, the trade goes on, repeat. That is what I want. It's what my students want. It's what we can replicate as a new trader, regardless of your age, experience, sex, creed, or wherever you are in the world. That's the solution. We end up with 6 simple rules. We've got an illustration on the charts. We've got the broker statement there. So this is a real trade. And the 6 simple rules are: wait for the cross in moving averages, trade the pullback. The first pullback confirms the direction, and then subsequently you can trade any pullback after that. Trade management: the stop goes to break even at 50% of target, and that's that horizontal blue line that you can see at the top right of the chart. When prices moved halfway to target, move the stop to break even. When we've got to 80% of the targets, we're going to cover 50% of the profits. The target, ultimately, 100% of our expectation is 3 times the risk. That's it. Rule number 5 and number 6 is what we do if we're stopped out and what we do if the target is hit. Again, not really relevant for this case study, but essentially we've got 4 rules. Wait for the cross, trade the pullback, and the other 3 are essentially trade management. And again, we've got a nice illustration of a recent trade that we did. Again, it's not the perfect trade. You'll notice that now you know the rules, you can just see that we did see 80% of target, the pink line for want of a better description, and we were stopped out on the trade management part at 50% of the targets. So they don't always go to targets. Sometimes we're going to get stopped out at break even, other times we're going to get stopped out at the 50% of profits, and obviously other times we're going to see 100% of the target. And that's essentially what we have. Again, this is a real trade. The broker statement is at the bottom left there that you can quite clearly see. Let's take a look at the results. 6 simple rules over 2 years of data. I'm continuing to look back always and get a larger data set. I'd like to eventually get 10 years with this new updated rule set. Again, I've been trading this or a variation of this strategy for the better part of 20 years. All that's really changed from this point of view is the mechanical nature of the decisions to address all the problems that we mentioned earlier. So 6 simple rules. It produced a 67.8% win rate. Win streak, we can see, a 14 in a row is the best win streak. The worst losing streak is 6 in a row. The average point gain on the Dow futures is 320 points, and the average loss is 123 points. Ultimately, the dollar return is net positive, and then you can see at the top right there's 3 boxes here, and one is if you're taking a $10,000 account with micro futures. The second box, the middle box, is if you're taking a $50,000 account with mini futures, and the bottom box is if you're taking a £5,000 account with spread betting, which is available to, it depends on where you are in the world, but you can do it tax-free in the UK. If you're trading £1 per point with a £5,000 account, you can see the results there. So starting off at the top, a micro futures account. These were introduced in March, and they're going to be great for small account trading. So one micro account essentially allows you to have a point value. For every 1 point that you make or lose, you'll make or lose 50 cents, just so that you've got a benchmark. So taking a $10,000 account with one lot, I want to emphasize that this is without compounding. This is just doing one contract, 0 compounding. $10,000 over 2 years would have given you a $14,961.50 gain with very simply one contract and no compounding. Similarly, a mini futures, one contract, 1 point gain or loss would be equivalent to $5, just so that you understand where we're coming from. So $50,000 with one contract, one mini lots, would turn into or a gain of $149,615 gain. Spread betting, we can see £5,000, 1 pound per point is the way that it's phrased in spread betting world. For every 1 point that the Dow moved up or down, you'd make or lose £1 per point. If it helps you to compare, it would be like trading 2 contracts on the micro futures account, just to kind of draw a comparison there. Anyway, £5,000, £1 a point, you would see a gain of $30,000, £30,129 more precisely. So that's where we're at. They're the results over a 2-year study. Again, I've traded this strategy on and off for the better part of 20 plus years, and over the same time I've traded it on and off. So what I wanted to do for my own personal trading, my students, based on the feedback, how can we not miss trades? How can we replicate what I'm doing or what my students do? And this was the rule set that we ultimately came up with, that we tested, and this is how I am trading moving forward as of this recording. And we're already in motion. That's what we're doing as of now. Ultimately, this process allows both myself and my students to profit consistently from the markets. And you don't need to take my word for it. Let's go and ask one of my students.
Is Stuart Wood, and my trading situation before I started working with Phil was just filled with frustration and anxiety, and hours spent thinking about my positions or looking at the charts with no real strategy or filtering process or anything like that. But as soon as I started working with Phil, he changed all that. He gave me tried and proven strategies to so where I'm only spending 30 to 60 minutes in front of a screen looking at charts each day, and then I'm able to move on with my day and get on with my work. And it's a proven and profitable method, and I would recommend Phil to anyone who's looking to better enhance their trading and profitability from their trading.
And one more from another student, Yannick. Here we go. You can just see him at the bottom left.
I'm in my second week of trading the AntiVestor and Phil system, and I'm shooting this quick video because I must say I'm really positively surprised. I mean, I've bought trading courses before, I've had trading mentors before, but none of them has had the ability to lay out a system that's really quickly understandable, applicable, and repeatable. So just so you know, so far I've taken 2 trades, one last week and one this week, and it doesn't really matter what the outcome is. I mean, then the outcome was very positive, but that's not the point. I think the point is that at every time of looking at the charts in the last 2 weeks, I was clear on whether or not there was an opportunity and whether or not it was a good idea for me to enter the market or stand aside. And I think that's the main thing in trading. And it also shows that, I've understood the process, or rather Phil has enabled me to understand the process in such a way that it is repeatable. I'm no longer relying on luck and, thinking, oh, this might be a good opportunity, this might not, and being, entirely fear-ridden. It's a very methodical and logical process. It either is a go or a no-go. And, that's an ability I've never have had before when looking at the charts. And this is what Phil has given me. And so far, I'm also very satisfied with the outcomes. So I thank Phil and AntiVestor very much. And I could just highly recommend this trading program. Thank you.
And lastly, we can see some recent chats from some recent trades from members of our Slack group. There's no extra cost for this at the moment. This is, to be fair, it's a complimentary service that I offer to everyone to ensure that you can replicate it. And I post my own trading every day. It helps keep me on track. And we can see our members are also producing profits. And that really is what I'm trying to highlight here. It's that it's a replicatable process that's easy to follow. Jeff at the top there, Paul, they're both producing profits out of the markets, which is the important part. So when you're ready and you want to know if this is right for you, then simply click on the button to get immediate access to the training that supports this strategy. You'll also have immediate access to the training and the Slack group. And all you need to do is to click the button and get started today.